Welcome in. Happy Monday morning, everybody. Welcome into Morning JOX here on JOX 94.5. Conrad Van Order and Damian Mitchell here with you at the start of another week. And man, oh man, what a weekend we just had. You know, we spent a good bit of time last week just talking about the amount of different events that you had going on around the sports world, and a lot of them taking place here in the state of Alabama. But man, just a jam-packed weekend, a thrilling finish yesterday in Augusta. We're going to spend a lot of time on what happened there. I know a lot of people, it seemed like a lot of people that were maybe locking in on golf for the first time in a while that were maybe reminded of how electric it can be in the right circumstances, and especially when it's being played there at Augusta National. So just an awesome weekend there at the Masters. We had a day going on for both Alabama and Auburn over the weekend, and based on how the attendance looked at both of those games, I'm going to assume a lot of you listening were not there. But if you were, we would love to hear from you. 205-834-9450. What'd you see from your favorite team over the weekend if you were there either in Auburn or in Tuscaloosa? Because a lot of just interesting opinions on how things went over the weekend. And so we'll dive into a lot of that as well. But I know the Stallions got things off to a thrilling start there on Friday. So just
thrilling.
Well, I mean, they won.
Yeah.
But I know you were there shirtless. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a little bit, but we've got some transfer portal news. We've got stuff going on in the world of baseball as well. So just all in all, a fantastic weekend. Hope everyone enjoyed it. And appreciate you being here with us on Monday morning. But yeah, let's start yesterday over there in Augusta, Georgia. If you were watching it on CBS, this is how it sounded with Jim Nantz on the call. A moment that was 17 years in the making for one Rory McIlroy. This is how it sounded on CBS after the first playoff hole. Well, and the golf world got what they wanted yesterday. It's been a long journey for Rory McIlroy. I know we were talking about it, and you weren't totally familiar, I guess, with the circumstances going into the Masters last week, Damian. But this was, this has been the big headline for some time now. It had been 11 years that Rory McIlroy had been searching for that Grand Slam title. All he needed was a win there at Augusta. He's come close a number of times in his career, and just one of the better golfers that we've seen. I mean, I would say for my money, since Tiger Woods, probably the best golfer that we've seen since Tiger. But he finally accomplishes the career Grand Slam yesterday, becomes one of only 6 golfers ever to do it. Of course, we know Tiger Woods did it, Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, Ben Hogan, and Gene Sarazen, and now Rory McIlroy added to that list. So a historic day there in Augusta, and really, outside of, and I'm sure there's, many of you out there that are way more knowledgeable and have, spent a lot more time watching golf, and especially there at Augusta than I have. But outside of when Tiger Woods came back and won it in 2017, and just how big that moment felt from wow, we never thought we were going to see something like this again. And for him to return to peak form, peak Tiger for that one weekend was such it's going to be tough to top that. I think for me, at least in just more modern Masters tournaments. But what you got yesterday on the final Sunday was absolutely electric going into it. I mean, even from the start where Rory, he double bogeys the first hole of the day. And so him and Bryson are there tied at 10 under after one hole. And you're going, man, okay, here we go. We're going to, this has happened to Rory before where he's been in these situations, and you've seen it go south for him on the final 18. But just an absolute roller coaster of a day. He had an opportunity to win it on the 18th hole. All he had to do was make a 3 or 4 foot putt. And when he misses that putt, I think everyone's just sitting there going, okay, it's not meant to be for him for whatever reason. And you even heard him say after the win, I mean, he acknowledged it. He said, I began to think to myself, I'm just not meant to win here. Like, when is this ever going to happen for me? But ultimately, it does happen. Him and Justin Rose go to the one-hole playoff. Roy has an absolutely incredible second shot to get on the green, set himself up with a very nice and easy putt for the win.
And the thing was, Justin Rose had a nice shot too, and it's like, oh man, like okay,
2 inches away.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was wild, and not even to mention the putt that Justin Rose had to make on 18 himself to get to 11 under to tie it, to set up even the possibility of the playoff. But no, it was absolutely electric, and you could tell. Again, I'm always such a big fan when you can. There's just a lot of things in sports that I don't know. They come off as fake or ungenuine and genuine at times. And when you see something like Rory yesterday, when he wins and he just falls to the ground, and you could tell like that was seriously the weight of just the pressure of that moment and trying to win that tournament and get the Grand Slam for the last 11 years. It was his 17th time playing at the Masters. You could just see how much it truly meant to him. And I just feel like those moments in sports, you still get them, but maybe not as much as you used to. And so when you do get a genuine reaction like that, and you can see this is a man this is the peak of his life right now, of his professional career, what he was able to accomplish yesterday. And you could see the weight of the world was lifted off his shoulders, and just what an awesome moment for him. What an awesome day of golf yesterday. Unfortunately going in, Bryson, right there neck and neck. It was tied after the first hole. He hits it into the water a couple times, doesn't quite go his way, but you know, Scotty Scheffler, he had a great day. He finishes tied for 4th at 8 under there. Your defending champion, Patrick Reed, who bounced in a shot late on, I think 17, to get up there to 9 under and be finishing third, a previous Masters winner himself. Just a lot of great moments yesterday. You had Ludwig Oberg, the young kid, who looked like he was going to make a push there at the end, and then just kind of all fell apart the last 2 holes for him. But a lot of great moments, Damian, and I know for a lot of people, maybe the most fun they've had watching golf in a while. So just for you, because I know, you know, going into it, you understood why people were excited for the Masters, but you were, I think, kind of finding a way for yourself to get excited for it. So how did you walk away after the weekend? Did you find yourself a bigger fan of golf now?
I'd say a bigger fan of Rory McIlroy.
Okay.
I didn't realize it had been 11 years since his last major win. And like, it came to a point where he had been so close so many times, and the mental hurdle he has to get over. Like, golf is completely different from other sports where everything that happens to you on that golf course is strictly you, your club, and the ball. Like, that is it. And to have somebody that had so much success coming out the gate, boom, just so hot, and the one thing he had been chasing for so long, it just felt doom and gloom. Like, okay, I'm just not, again, like Rory said, I'm not meant to win this thing. And to see how just the mental pressure and just the weight of the world being on his shoulders in 18, and I'm sitting there like, man, you've pretty much essentially got it in the bag, man. Just knock this putt in. But it's like a 1-and-1 free throw. It's the hardest one to make is the first one. And he's sitting right there on 18, and you're thinking, Rory's got it. Like, everybody's cheering him on. And I found myself just, okay, this dude, one, I mean, he's almost a billionaire, so I can get that. But to see him just truly love the game of just, I have been chasing this one thing for so long. I've won everything else. It's the one thing I don't have yet. And just to see, you know, even it became more intense when if you're Justin Rose, you're sitting there like, okay, well, let me stay loose just in case. And then you mess around and find out that, oh yeah, we're about to go to a playoff, and you hit your shot, and it's okay, that's not bad. And then Rory comes up the second shot, and it's like, okay, there are levels to this. But I came away just more, again, I didn't watch much on Saturday. I watched a little bit on Friday, but Sunday was kind of like the first time I kind of like just looked at everything. Because again, I don't know a lot of these guys. I know a lot of these guys, you know, they're immensely talented of what they do because they make it look so easy.
Mm-hmm.
But just to see how Rory it seemed like hole after hole, he's taking a deep breath and he's just kind of soaking it all in. And then when it came to 18, he just got done playing 18, goes back to 18, and it's like, okay, let's correct some things and let's play ball. But overall, it was fun. It really was. And I think that, it felt, because I was trying to equate it to other sports of just how big of a situation would have been if Rory would have lost yesterday. And
I mean, that's the Super Bowl of
28-3.
Yeah,
exactly. Everybody was saying that it was essentially like the Atlanta Falcons and the New England Patriots, where you went into the day pretty much like, just don't blow it. At this point, just don't blow it. And you made it a little bit closer to comfort, but you still ended up winning. So all that really matters is he has a green jacket finally, and he's got the monkey off his back. Now he can just play loose golf for the rest of his career.
Yeah, I would love to know what was going through his mind on, I can't remember if it was 15 or what hole it was exactly there late, but where he had the one putt where the ball literally stopped like on the cut. Like I've never seen a ball like that where it didn't fall in the cut. I mean, it was literally sitting on the edge, and it just wouldn't fall in. And it was just one of those moments where you go, you could hit that shot 100 times and it's going to go in 99 times. And this was the one time that it gets hung up and just sits there on the cup. And it's just one of those moments where you have to sit there and go, it's just not happening for me today. It's just not meant to be. But like you said, the mental fortitude for him to be able to come back from a disappointing miss there on 18, go right back to that hole, hit another incredible approach shot, and then be able to nail the putt for the win was awesome to see. So, like you said, maybe not the way that he had planned on the day going, because it is a a +1 day for Rory McIlroy as he finishes 1 over in his final round, but he had just enough to hold on and hold off Justin Rose. And well, I'm sure the money for him is going to be nice. It's more about getting the career Grand Slam, but the putt that he made was essentially a $2 million putt, because Rory McIlroy, he walks away with $4.2 million in winnings yesterday. Justin Rose, a little over $2.2 million. You have Patrick Reed in third place. He walks away with $1.4 million, and Scotty Scheffler also walks away with a cool $1 million after finishing in fourth place yesterday. So not a bad payday for any of those guys yesterday. They're all walking home pretty happy, I think. But yeah, big win for Rory McIlroy yesterday in Augusta. And yeah, if we get that again next year, sign me up. That was absolutely electric yesterday. That was about as exciting as it gets on the golf course. But we did have here in the state of Alabama, A-Day going on, Alabama and Auburn. Some takeaways from both of those. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see both of those teams at full strength. Guys like Ryan Williams out for Alabama, and we didn't get to see Jackson Arnold for Auburn. So why even have a spring practice? Isn't that all that we wanted to see? No, there's other things that we got to see as well. So we'll dive into some of the takeaways from those spring games, and still want to hear from you, 205-834-9450. If you made the trip down for the spring exhibitions this weekend, what were your takeaways? What'd you think of the new format? Is this the end of the spring games in college football as we know it? We also have a little situation that took place in Knoxville, Tennessee that we have to continue to talk about, because that was quite an interesting weekend up on Rocky Top. All that coming up next. You're listening to Morning JOX here on JOX 94.5. 6:18. Welcome back in, Morning JOX, here on your Monday morning. Conrad and Damian diving into a little bit of the A-Day festivities from over the weekend. So we'll go ahead. We'll just start with what happened down there on the plains of Auburn. So as we knew going in, it was going to be essentially just an open practice. And that's exactly what you got. What we did not know until, I guess, right before was that Jackson Arnold was not going to participate because of a hamstring issue. The good news is that it was a precautionary thing. This is not something that is expected to, have any impact on him this fall or anything like that, even moving into the summer. It was just according to Hugh Freeze, they thought that, Jackson's looked good this spring and they just, didn't want to take any chances. And it was an opportunity for the fans to watch Deuce Knight, the 5-star freshman that everyone has been really, really excited about. And we've heard good things about him coming in to the A-Day festivities. But as you know, had a couple of interceptions in the practice session that was open to the fans. And not that that's a big surprise or anything. It, also definitely a takeaway or good takeaway for the defense and that side of the ball and what they've been able to do. But a young guy getting an opportunity to go out there and get pretty much all of the reps with Jackson Arnold being out. So from what I understand, made some very impressive throws. Also had a couple that he wishes he could take back. And, Hugh Freeze afterwards even, kind of said that that's very uncharacteristic of him. And we talked last week about how, there was the report that had come out of spring that Deuce Knight hadn't thrown a single interception or hadn't turned the ball over a single time so far in spring practice. And well, obviously that came to an end, but still seemed like a lot of people were very impressed with what they saw from him. And he just throws a nice ball, right? If you get to see some of the footage, again, it's practice. It's, we're not freaking out about any of this or anything, but he does. He throws a nice ball. He looks comfortable in there. And he seemed to already have a pretty good rapport with some of the receivers. Perry Thompson seems to be the one that was the major takeaway in terms of maybe the person that turned heads the most. And again, a guy that we knew coming in last year, part of that Freeze 4, the 5-star recruit. And you saw some of the success that you had from a Cam Coleman or even a Malcolm Simmons. And Perry Thompson just wasn't quite there yet last year. And so now to see him continuing his development, along with what we've heard about, Sam Turner, who's another guy that had a good weekend and has looked good all throughout spring practice. And you start looking around at some of these guys and you go, okay, so, we're adding Perry Thompson to the mix now. We're adding the Sam Turner kid to the mix. And we got Singleton, who just came over and was the top receiver available in the portal this winter, who's another guy that wasn't able to go because he's a little dinged up this weekend. But again, you see why we've had those conversations already and why Damian has said that he thinks that Auburn has the best wide receiver group in the conference right now. And just 1 through 5, it's hard to find a program that's in a better spot than Auburn is right there with those guys. But yeah, a lot of good reports there. Heard some good things on the defensive side of the ball. I know Anquan Fagans had a big interception. The 5-star freshman from Thompson, a lot of people really high on him. I know Woodby, another young kid in the secondary, has flashed a lot, and a lot of people have been very high on him this spring as well. And but again, with it being just the takeaways that you're going to have from it now that it's just essentially an open practice, it's more of you're getting a behind the scenes look at something you wouldn't normally get. And I feel like that's the appeal to the fans, not as much as you're going to have the same level of takeaways. It's just you're getting a different kind of access that, well, you're not going to get if you're not going there and showing up in person. So it seems like the people that were down there still had a good time. I know, they signed a lot of autographs after the practice and, got a lot of interaction one-on-one with the fan base, and that's always good to see. But again, I just feel like for both Auburn and Alabama, the takeaways that you're going to hear from people are pretty limited just because of the nature of the format. And again, we're talking about practice. And
right.
People don't like that.
And if you're Deuce Knight, you'll appreciate this because now, with Jackson Arnold being out, you got all the reps. So you got a chance to go out there, get a little bit more development, get hands-on coaching, getting thrown in the fire of everything. It's another practice session. Now with the lights on you, with the fans, being out there, the fans get to see, like, okay, maybe he's a freshman. Nobody's putting the pressure on him to be the starting quarterback. Nobody's like, hey, I don't think people came away from that one spring day, then the A-Day is going to, throw off what's going on in the quarterback room. It's Jackson Arnold might as well just keep him safe, keep him fresh, make sure everything's good for the summer going into the fall. And Deuce, you're a freshman, you need as many reps as you can possibly get. And those are good things. Those are good qualities. Who knows that, maybe in the season you have almost like a red zone Robbie package where, okay, well, they're not going to be afraid to put you into the ball game. So, again, there's only so much you can really learn from practice in front of, a 1,000 or so fans. So it's to me, like you said, a lot of it's just going to be mostly surface level. If guys struggle, that would be, some alarming things. But from the most part, everybody's, everybody's healthy, everybody's good. We got a chance to see some guys in some action. At least a lot more eyes were on them this weekend.
Yeah, and I mean, it'd be another thing if you hear, these, the receivers, they look great, physically, but, too many drop passes, or, there seems to be disconnect with, the quarterback and the receiver. Guys aren't running the right routes, or the ball's not being thrown. He's not making the right reads, and these are all things that you can hear. And obviously, there are going to be things always that they want to shore up, but it does seem like they are in a better spot at this time this year than they were at this time last year. And I think you can even hear that with Hugh Freeze talking about the quarterbacks. And one thing that I did think it was interesting that he said when he met with the media afterwards. If we have it, Damien, it's cut 4. But here's Hugh Freeze talking about how much easier it's been just having the two quarterbacks in Jackson Arnold and Deuce Knight to split reps here in the spring. Yeah, and I think that's one thing going back from last year, right, where you were in a situation that I think they felt like they had to give everybody reps because they weren't sold on any one quarterback, and so you had to split it around a lot. And unfortunately, you probably had a lot of reps that I don't want to say were wasted, but essentially went to guys that were never going to play meaningful snaps for you, but you needed to be prepared because you didn't know what you were going to get from the quarterback position on a weekly basis. And so now having just Jackson and Deuce Knight and kind of having an idea of, all right, Jackson, he has some experience. He's been in college for 2 years. He just needs to learn kind of the way they do things at Auburn, right? And then with Deuce, it's how do you transition him from a high school quarterback to a college quarterback? And it sounds like, from a maturity standpoint, he's really, quite far along in that regard. And so just having these two guys that are wanting to learn as much as possible and help each other out, I could see where that would be a lot easier than having split reps with 4 quarterbacks. And we know Ashton Daniels coming in this summer through the transfer portal as well. But I mean, I think we understand it's Jackson Arnold and Deuce Knight are going to be 1 and 2, and them having this time not only for each other, but also together and to kind of build that camaraderie, I think is massive. And you'll be able to hear more from Hugh Freeze here on JOX 94.5 in a couple of hours because he is going to be joining McElroy and Kublik in the morning live at 9 a.m. So go ahead and set your alarms for that. Auburn head coach Hugh Freeze will be on with Mac and Cube at 9 o'clock to recap their spring and the A-Day festivities and just kind of where he sees this team as a whole coming out of spring. But quickly now, let's go ahead to the other side of the state where you had A-Day going on in Tuscaloosa, Alabama as well. As I mentioned, Ryan Williams did not participate. He's been dinged up a little bit in spring, so they kept him out just as a precaution as well, similar to the Jackson Arnold situation. But we did get to see all 3 quarterbacks down there in Tuscaloosa. And again, there seems to be a similar sentiment that we've kind of been telling you all spring, and that is it is Ty Simpson's job to lose right now. And it is Ty Simpson's job to lose in the sense that he is the person who is the most consistent, right? He maybe isn't making the most jaw-dropping plays out of the 3 quarterbacks, but he is not making the stupid mistakes out of the quarterbacks, right? He is not turning the ball over frequently. He is not making risky throws down the field. He is the one that is making the smart read, getting the ball out on time, just consistently moving the ball down the field. And that's something that, I've talked about a number of times. And in my opinion, is if Ty Simpson's the quarterback for Alabama this year, you don't need him to be a Heisman caliber quarterback to make the college football playoff and compete for a championship. I think with what you have around him, you just need somebody that can consistently make the right read and not turn the football over. I think that is all that you really need. And if you get more than that, and he is a guy that can elevate his game and be, you know, a top 10 quarterback in college, then, you know, we're talking about a different thing here. But right now, you don't need Ty Simpson to be the superstar Heisman caliber quarterback because of how good the rest of the team is around it. And I think that's kind of what you're hearing right now out of spring is he's the guy that's going to make he's showing the experience, right, of how to handle these situations, how to be smart with the football. Austin Mack seems to be the one struggling with turnovers the most, but he's also the one that everybody, you know, will tell you just the way that he throws a football. I mean, it's a thing of beauty to just watch him throw because he's got a laser. And that's the other thing with him and Keelan is the arm strength compared to a guy like Ty Simpson. It jumps off the page more with those guys, but it's about the consistency of Ty Simpson. And again, at A-Day, that's what rang true. But I know Keelan Russell, I know he had some good throws. I know Mac did as well. I know Keelan had a touchdown to Latsier Brooks, who's a young guy that a lot of people have been hyped about. I know Derek Meadows had a really big day at the scrimmage, made some big catches there. As another young guy stepping up there in that wide receiver room. You had the fun trick play that I'm sure a lot of people saw on social media of Jeremy Bernard doing the double pass to Isaiah Horton for a touchdown down the field. So that was a fun little thing to throw in there as well. But you know, hearing good things about the secondary. You know, some guys are getting reps. I know Dejon Lee, a young guy that's getting a lot of press, especially with Damani Jackson being out. So he's getting some more reps there. Things like it seems like the defensive front still looking pretty good with Keenan and Smith and some of those other big boys up front that again with guys like that in Overton, we know what the potential is of it. It's just we need to see them being able to finish some of those plays, and getting pressure is great, but can you bring the quarterback down? Can you get those tackles for loss there in the backfield or things that this team's going to have to improve on from last year? So again, seems like everything is business as usual from both Auburn and Tuscaloosa. With the format, again, I don't know how long-lived this is going to be because you saw the smallest crowds that I can ever remember seeing at a spring type event for both Alabama and Auburn. But, you know, it is what it is. It's the world of college football that we live in now. But at least right now, seems like both coaches are happy with where things are looking. Both quarterback battles are, you know, we have a sense of where they're both going with Jackson Arnold and Ty Simpson being the leaders right now, but still see things could certainly change in summer and fall camp. But yeah, as of right now, all seems to be good as far as we can tell. And this is, you know, for the foreseeable future, this is what spring's going to look like for you, if not even less. So
yeah. And just to your point about Ryan Williams, if you saw on social media that we know one thing, his autograph hand isn't injured because he had the longest line I probably have ever seen for a player.
Yeah, according to officials
insane.
there, it was the longest line they'd ever seen for autograph.
It was insane. But, I mean, again, there's no major takeaways that you can get outside of, you know, like as long as they don't look terrible in front of, you know, thousands of fans in practice, you're good. Like that's the biggest thing. Like as long as people are healthy, you got a chance to see some action that you don't usually see every single day. And the biggest thing is making sure that everybody was upright. And now it's the dead period. You got to go through this. And then, of course, with the summer, now with the spring portal potentially, well, that's going to be open on Wednesday, see if anybody's going to move or anything. But now it's just kind of that, let's grind this thing out and let's tread forward to fall camp.
Yeah, no, you are absolutely right. So that wraps up the spring for both Alabama and Auburn football. A reminder, the portal opens up on Wednesday. So that's going to be very interesting. And that leads us into something else we have to talk about up there in old Rocky Top, the situation with Nico in Tennessee. But before we get away from Alabama and Auburn quickly, from over the weekend, I know a lot of you that went down there. If you did, you probably stopped and maybe tried to make a day of it going and supporting baseball as well. So wanted to give a shout out to Auburn baseball. They swept LSU for the first time in 37 years.
Wow.
Over the weekend. So number 3 LSU gets swept by Auburn. And then Alabama, they dropped 2 of 3 against Mississippi State. So not as good of a weekend there for the Tide, but big weekend for Auburn baseball. Wanted to give them a quick shout out. But when we come back here on Morning Jocks, we do see you on hold. We want to get to your phone calls, your text messages, but we have to talk about what went down in Knoxville, what's going on with Nico, all that coming your way next here on Jocks 94.5. Beautifully done, Damian. That was a perfect lead in to what happened up in old Knoxville, Tennessee over the weekend. So we'll rewind a second here. If anybody that you were living under a rock for a couple of days, you were out of touch with what was going on in the college football world, we'll go back to the end of last week if you missed it, because so Pete Nakos on Thursday, there's a story that comes out from Pete Nakos of On3 Sports, essentially saying Nico is Nico and Tennessee are renegotiating his NIL deal because based on the market and the fact that Nico feels he deserves to make more money than he was, which was reportedly about $2.2 million a year, he wanted to renegotiate. So then we find out on Friday that he was not at practice, and people at Tennessee have been trying to get in touch with him, trying to continue to negotiate, and he goes silent. He ghosts them. Then you find out on Saturday morning, right before the Tennessee spring game, right before their spring game, because they actually, credit to them, they actually played a real spring game. Josh Heupel makes the announcement that Tennessee is moving on from Nico Iamaleava and that he is not going to be a part of the football program anymore. And I was shocked. I'll be completely honest with you. I was shocked, but I applaud the hell out of what Josh Heupel did and the decision that he made, because he put the program first. He put the other players on the roster first. He put the Tennessee brand first. He put the fan base first, because no one player is bigger than the program. And Nico wanted to be bigger than the program. And the play that his performance on the field last year certainly didn't lead me to think that he deserved a raise. And apparently Josh Heupel and his staff agreed. And so he is going to find himself in the transfer portal on Wednesday when it opens up. And Tennessee will begin the search for a new quarterback. And so you think this is where it's going to end. But then, of course, more information has to come out. And, one thing that I thought was particularly interesting was, so when this story first came out last Thursday, Nico's dad went out on social media and essentially put Pete Nakos on blast and other media on blast for reporting lies and trying to drag his son's name through the mud and say he's selfish, and none of these things are true. Well, then it comes out over the weekend that Nico's dad had encouraged him to sit out of the college football playoff game against Ohio State until Tennessee offered him more money. His dad was telling him to sit out of a college football playoff game as a protest for more money.
Oh, boy.
And here we are.
Yeah.
And I will also throw out there at 11 o'clock today, Pete Nakos is going to be with us on three-man front.
Let's go.
So we will get it straight from the horse's mouth of everything that went down with Nico and the aftermath of it. But just an absolute wild 72-hour stretch there in Knoxville. And Damian, with you being our resident Tennessee fan, you're the biggest volunteer fan I've ever met in my entire life.
Okay.
What was going through your mind? Not only is this whole situation progressed, but then on Saturday when you find out that Nico's not going to be a part of the program anymore, and now Josh Heupel has to find himself a new quarterback.
One, I was happy and proud that Tennessee stood their ground, because one, like you can say that, hey, I'm worth X amount of dollars. But when you pull what Nico was doing with the no-shows, not trying, essentially just cutting off the line of communication, one, you're getting treated like an adult now. Like at that point, we're having this much money invested in you, and the least you could do is like shoot a text. Like we can have contract negotiations, like we can do that. But you're holding out, one, as a college athlete, is a slap in the face of the program of, one, you think about everything Tennessee did to just get you into the building. Like they pretty much was under investigation the whole time. We're like, why y'all giving this dude this much money? And now hearing the stuff of that he was potentially going to sit out a college football playoff game as a teammate, like I'm going to have to pull him to the side like, hey, I don't know what you got going on, but if you're putting money ahead of everything that we put, like everything we're doing as far as we're practicing. We have a chance to win a national title, something we hadn't been in contention for in years. And you're trying to tell me with your performance the past 13 games is warranted you to have a discussion with the head coach and personnel of, oh, I'm not making enough money. Like, nah, big dog, that's not going to fly. And I appreciate what Josh Heupel, he took the high road. He's like, hey, we appreciate everything Nico's done for us, but he will not be suiting up for the Tennessee Volunteers moving forward. We wish him the best. But now you're seeing it. Now it kind of just, it makes me upset because this is not what college football is. Like, this is not what college athletics is supposed to be. We're not supposed to be sitting here having business discussions with 19, 20-year-olds. That's no, absolutely not. And the fact that, one, it's also sad too that you would have somebody in your camp telling you, like, hey, you might want to sit out because you ain't getting paid enough. Like, that's what's hurting it, because the people in their ear, you're not, like, in this situation, Nico's father's not looking out for the best interest of his son. You know how you get more money? By performing well at your job. He needs as many possible reps as he can get. And from this performance that he had last year, you can go back to games. Like, you can go back to game situations where it's, hell, in a game that they won against Alabama, it wasn't because of Nico. It wasn't because of Nico. He was putting them in worse situations. And then you go back to the Arkansas game where it's literally the last play of the ball game and you don't let it rip. Like, there are moments where it's like, you're not worth the money that you're asking for. These numbers that we have right here, if Dylan Sampson was not in the backfield for you, we would be fighting for bowl eligibility. And I just think it sets a bad precedent of now that if somebody would be willing to sit out, okay, we understand bowl games, but you're telling me you're willing to sit out a college football playoff game as the quarterback? It's you're a bad apple, and Tennessee will be better off without him.
Yeah, I just, because I'm with you in the regards of, it makes me sad for him from the standpoint of he clearly has people around him that do not have his best interest at heart. And, whether it's a case of somebody that's like, man, I just don't know if he's going to, be cut out to make it in the NFL, so we need to make as much money as we can now. Okay, I could understand that if that's your perspective, but if you're Nico, do you not, like, hell, you're my friend, my parent, my uncle, my whoever, and you don't believe in me? Like, you don't have the belief that I can develop into that, and so you're trying to put me in these situations now that are, I mean, his character is shot. Like, whether this was something he wanted to do or it was something that someone and his friends or family or whoever told him, this is what you have to do, this is your decision that you're going to make, not only for you but for us. Like, his name is the one that's going to be ruined for this. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out, because we were talking before the show off the air, and it was like, we're both like, man, I kind of hope nobody, like, I hope he has to go play at the group of 5 level. I do. And that's not a shot at the group of 5, but I hope he goes somewhere and he gets offered $500,000 to go play because, oh, boo-hoo, you're getting paid $500,000 to go play football. But I hope he doesn't get anything close to what he was asking for Tennessee. And I hope he goes somewhere where he's not going to have a fraction of the resources or the talent around him that he had at Tennessee, as a lesson to guys in the future of the grass is not always greener. And we see that time and time again. But this just feels like a prime opportunity for him to be an example. And it's unfortunate if this means that, he's just not going to have the career that we all thought he could potentially have. I hate that for him. But if this has to be a lesson and this has to be a stepping stone towards getting things in a better spot for college athletics, then so be it. I hate it for the kid, but I really respect what Josh Heupel and that Tennessee program did, because you can't cater to one kid like that, and you certainly can't cater to one kid like that when they're not producing on the field at the level that you're looking for. And just hearing everything over the weekend, and people, some people reporting that Dan Lanning was maybe the one that kind of got this all started and was stirring the pot a little bit. And there's just, I mean, it's like Desperate Housewives or whatever, I feel like, but for college football. And the icing on the cake is, his dad coming out and blasting everyone last week. And then turns out that you were telling your own son to maybe not play in a playoff game for more money. So not a good look there, big dog, but it is what it is. And they will roll on at Rocky Top, and we will see where the cards may fall. But I mean, again, the early names that you're going to hear, everyone thinks USC is going to be in the mix for Nico. I've also seen reports that Nico doesn't want to touch him with a 10-foot pole. Notre Dame's been thrown around. UCLA's been thrown around as well. So we'll see how it goes. We'll keep you up to date of everything going on with Nico. I would also expect maybe somebody from another school entering the portal, going to Tennessee, that we don't know about yet. So a fascinating situation there in Knoxville. But If you're just tuning in, Tennessee, Nico Iamaleava parting ways after a holdout on Nico's part regarding his NIL, and now they move forward there in Knoxville. So we see you on hold. We see you on the text line as well, 205-834-9450 if you want to chime in on everything that happened over the weekend. We still haven't gotten to everything, but we want to give you some time to weigh in, react as well. So when we return here on Morning JOX, we'll do just that. We'll read your calls or take your calls and read your text here on JOX 94.5.
.652 here on Morning JOX, JOX 94.5. Damian Mitchell alongside Conrad Van Order. I'll tell you one thing. I know Rory McIlroy probably had to use some of that Blue Chew last night because of his performance on the course. I know he probably got a little hot and ready in the bedroom. And by now, you know Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, but in chewable form and a fraction of the cost. It's performance enhancement for the bedroom. It can help man gain extra confidence when it's time to perform. Listen, you don't have to worry about going to the doctor, no awkward conversations. It's an online prescription service, and you don't have to wait in line in the pharmacy. It ships right to your door. Let me tell you about a free offer. You go to BlueChew.com, get your first month free when you use our promo code JOX at checkout. Only thing you got to pay for is the $5 for shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code JOX to receive your first month free. And remember to just chew it and do it.
Wrapping up here on the Monday edition of Morning Jocks. Reminder again, Coach Hugh Freeze is going to be joining McIlroy and Kublik in the morning at 9 o'clock. Pete Nico is going to be joining us on three-man front at 11 today to break down the Nico situation, everything going on there. So a big day coming up here across the station. But we'll get to your text here to close out. And we have Jamie who texting in about the Masters. He says, just like all of or most of the college world, I wonder if Rory is going to get a big deal and go sign with the Live Golf Tournament now. I can pretty confidently tell you that's not going to happen. He is the most adamant golfer against Live and players going and taking those deals. So, yeah, no.
Hates them.
Yeah, he can't stand him. That's not going to happen. Steven texted in. He says, rest in peace, Kyron Lacey. Yes, if you missed the news, unfortunately, former LSU wide receiver Kyron Lacey, he did pass away over the weekend. Really sad circumstances there, based on some of the reports that I saw. So, prayers for him and his family after that tragedy over the weekend. Alan chimes in. He says, is Auburn hiding something about Jackson Arnold? No A-Day, no Manning passing academy. Seems like public opportunities to show his progression are being taken away. I mean, I'm not. If you wanted to create that narrative, I guess you could, but I'm not. No, I don't think they're hiding anything there. Let's see. Someone says, props to Knoxville for doing the right thing, RTR. Longest autograph line in Bama history for Ryan Williams. Is this what the dynasty has become for Alabama? Well, it is what it is.
Oh, God.
Let's see. A lot of you saying you're not sad to see Nico gone at Tennessee. You're happy about the decision that they made. And yeah,
so for one day, everybody
I have a similar sentiment. Everybody seems to be on the Tennessee side of things for today, at least. So I appreciate all of you chiming in. Sorry, Don, and Chris. I know you've been hanging on. Sorry. We will get to your phone calls tomorrow. Just too much to get to on this Monday. Wanted to read some of your texts because a lot of you chiming in and a lot that we didn't get to, but appreciate y'all being with us here. McIlroy and Kublik in the morning with Coach Hugh Freeze. They're up next.